using antibiotics early interferes with the proper development of immunity
Mm.
of a child's immune system. And of course, for C-section babies who don't catch up microbially in terms of diversity until the second year,
Mm.
when you compare them with vaginally born babies, that's another area of vulnerability. So the science is continuing to develop, to evolve, and emerge on this subject, but the studies, which there have been large studies done in the United States and Denmark and in other countries that are look at a large cohort
Mm.
of people over many years from childhood into teens and adulthood. They show an extremely high correlation between antibiotic use and certain diseases.
Mm.
Whether you consider obesity a disease or not, that's a question that is out there. But being overweight, having metabolic syndrome is not generally considered a healthy thing.
Mm.
So obesity, diabetes, um, severe food allergies, asthma, those are the primary areas where there has been study, but there are several diseases which are touched on in the film, which are correlated with this period, the last 50, 60, 70 years in which antibiotics have been increasingly used.
Mm.
And those include digestive diseases like IBS, inflammatory bowel diseases, Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, thyroiditis. There is some correlation with autism, although that's kind of a controversial subject, and we can talk
Mm.
about that later.
Mm. Yeah.
There's a tremendous amount of research, I'm sure you probably know, going on into the
Mm.
relationship between uh, the gut microbiome and depression.
Mm-hmm.
It's being studied for, uh, uh, as an adjunct treatment. FMT is an adjunct treatment in certain cancers where immunotherapy is being used. Um, Parkinson's, MS. It's not as if any and every disease is connected to the microbiome,
Mm.
but I think the fact that all this research is happening right now, uh, it tells you that there's tremendous excitement and energy in the scientific community
Mm.
about discovering the relationship of our gut microbes to various aspects of our health.
Mm.
And, our film, The Invisible Extinction, is about the early days of this scientific revolution.
Mm.
And I think it's really good as a kind of primer for people who have heard about the microbiome and they don't know really what it is and how their gut microbes relate to their health. And as I said earlier, my intention with it and Sarah's was to uh, put out there a wake up call
Mm.
that would connect with the general public because our microbiome, even though it's inside us, it's part of this larger problem of biodiversity, of our
Mm.
biodiversity on the planet being
Yeah.
challenged.
Yeah.
And most people know about the climate crisis, and most people, or many people, understand that a lot of species on the planet are going extinct,
Mm.
but they don't know about this internal extinction that has started to happen. And that's
Yeah.
why we called the film The Invisible Extinction, simply because most people don't know about it.
Yeah. And I'm certainly seeing, lab testing clients. I certainly see some people with, I mean, again, you don't know whether it's a genetic thing or whether that they're supposed to have them, but I see a lot of people where, we measure the amount of certain microbes in someone's colon. And for some people, it should be, let's say, 2, it's 0. There's literally none in their gut. I have that. There's a couple of bacteria that we kind of think they should be there. You know, they're considered beneficial bacteria, but I don't have any. But then when you look at my history, it's not really that surprising that I might have a few bacteria that are no longer there. And even testing over the years, and even, you know, doing a lot of work and using probiotics and prebiotics, they're still not there. And it's like, okay, maybe for me, they are extinct. And I've just got to do the best I can with what I've got, you know?
I yes, that is a question that the film raises
Mm,
also, which is restoration. Is
mm,
restoration possible? That's kind of the holy grail,
mm,
particularly for people like you and me who have lost diversity. And
mm,
then you have the bigger and scarier question of diversity being lost or diminished from one generation to the next because the
mm,
mother who has lost a lot of diversity through antibiotic use, maybe exposure to chemicals, diet can be a factor. She
mm.
can't pass on to her kids what she
Mm.
doesn't have.
Yeah.
So how are they going to be microbially diverse enough and resilient enough to be healthy, to be normal?
Yeah.
So it's not just a crisis for people who are living now. It's a crisis for future generations.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why the microbiota vault, which is
Mm.
part of the film too, one of
Yeah.
Gloria's projects that Marty is also working on. That's why it's so critical to protect and preserve the ancestral human microbiome before it
Mm.
completely vanishes.
Yeah.